Hey guys, it is Tanya and welcome back to the channel and welcome back to another speed build and to another installment of the Squish. I am so excited to share this build with you guys because I finally sat down and built what I feel like is a classic Tanya tiny house in that it is very small. It doesn't count as the smallest tiny house. It's not a micro home though because of the outside space. I do have a raised foundation and that does count towards the tiles. However, if that didn't count, the interior space is very small. There's no separate rooms other than the bathroom. And it's split level and I had a lot of fun with it. I have no idea what I'm naming this yet. I have a feeling it's going to be something like nature photographer tiny house or something like that. But I was thinking it would be really cool to have a sim live here who does a lot of gardening and takes photos of that for a social media presence. Maybe they run an Instagram account or just do in general nature photography. So they grow some of their own stuff and they also travel around a lot. And so having a small space was perfect for them. So that was the whole concept behind this, and I just played around with it a lot. You'll see it changes quite a bit. I've been really indecisive with builds lately, and there's no way to be like, this whole process happened and then snap to what it turns out like without showing a little bit of that. So yeah, right now it's on a really high foundation, which is something I do change in a little while. Also, this window in the back that has a little shelf in it is just so cute. I love all the new windows that we got with this pack, and I think 2 or 3 of them have shelves like that in them, which is so nice and something I feel like I've wanted in the game for a really long time. So I feel like I'm going to be overusing them, but hopefully that's okay. On the outside here, I did change the colors too many times. That will just suddenly change all the time. I cut a lot of that footage out because I tried everything. That top portion, the window changes a bunch of times. Sometimes it's pink, sometimes it's blue, sometimes it's yellow. And if you saw the fly-in in the beginning or the screenshot or the thumbnail for this video, you will see that it did turn out to be blue in the end. But I tried every single color of the rainbow before we got to blue. And you'll get to see it just pop and change all over the place. But I had a lot of fun with the landscaping on this lot, trying to make this look like it fit in and had its own little micro environment instead of it being just plopped in the center of Conifer Station with nothing around it. Was really interesting. And I'm pretty happy with how it came out. I did use these little stone slabs from Show Live Edit Objects to frame a pathway both to the door and then over to the outdoor living space. And I end up adding a ton more of them and making them a little bit less perfect with the placement to make it look a little bit more natural. I don't know. I went all out with this build. I had way too much fun with it, and hopefully you really like how it came out. It will be on the gallery. If you guys would like to download this, you can find it under my origin ID, which is Gryphi, or you could also search the hashtag MsGryphi. That information will also be in the description down below if it's easier to read it. Also, if I seem a little bit more mellow than normal in this voiceover, it is currently 4:08 a.m. because earlier tonight I was feeling really tired around, 5 or 6, and ended up falling asleep for many hours. And now it's 4 a.m. and I'm still wide awake. So I'm being a little bit quieter than normal, not to disrupt my boyfriend who is sleeping. And also, it feels weird being up and this awake at this hour. So if I sound a little bit more mellow than normal, that is why. It's weird timing. But anyway, I am working on some terrain paint here. This ends up disappearing later. It seems like that glitch is just never going away at this point. My terrain paint just always disappears. So I don't end up having that later, but I ended up liking what it looked like better with the stones directly on the grass with just a little bit of dirt under it anyway. So not too upset about that. Here I am figuring out some colors, and oh my goodness, look at that yellow portion of the house. And oh, I changed the door to this one. I think this one's from Get Together. I really like that door. I feel like I was trying too hard to use things that were from Eco Lifestyle in this build, and I just kept messing around with it, and I eventually came to this door, which I quite liked. But what I was going to say about the flowers out front is I was trying to match them to what would go good with the yellow, but since I ended up with the blue in the end, I did change them to be more blue and yellow, I think, because I think I kept the yellow. Some of it anyway, because the yellow is a nice contrasting color there. But anyway, I did add these beautiful string lights from Toddler Stuff. I love using these. I felt like this just, it's a vibe. It's a whole vibe. I feel like this house is exactly what I would imagine for somebody that's living in a tiny house who is really into making their Instagram or their Simstagram feed very aesthetic. And I love those lights so much. That's the best item from that pack. Honestly, I think it's one of the only items I use. That and then the pile of cushions. I don't think anything else from that pack do I regularly use, but I do quite enjoy it. I do have a couple of solar panels up on the roof. You can scale them down, but they do have like kind of a floating animation when they're in use. So that's a little bit frustrating, but you can still place them and use them scaled down, so that's nice. I also placed one of these new bikes that we got from the pack. I love these so much. I feel like since university we got bikes, I just want to add them everywhere. I think it's so cool to have a mode of transportation in the game. Obviously, we also have I almost said we also have bikes. Yes, I'm talking about bikes right now, Tanya. We also have the boats in Sulani, and maybe one day we'll get cars. I'm kind of losing hope at this point, but I really want cars. Oh, wouldn't that be amazing if that's the theme of the next game pack this year? That would be fantastic. But anyway, I have an outdoor eating space, and then I put the flower arranging table outside as well because I have like a decorative flower arranging table that came with Eco Lifestyle. So I figured, I really liked how that one looked and I wanted to keep it, but having a functional one would probably be a good idea too for the sim that lives here. And just doing a little bit more landscaping, and then we should finally be popping to the inside of the house after I place down a couple of planters. And yeah, here we are on the interior, getting a little door into the bathroom. I also play tested the bathroom and it works perfectly well. When we get to that, it actually has a sink, a shower, and a toilet in there. I was really happy that that was fully functional, but here I am just painting the walls and figuring out the stairs. I do have each end of this home with this beautiful wood paneling. That is my favorite new wallpaper in the game. I've used it too many times already, and I will continue to do so. I feel no guilt in that. It's just so pretty. But I actually was able to use a double bed down here. This is the new one that came with Eco Lifestyle as well, one of the many new ones. But this is the double bed that is not a craftable one or the one you get in the dumpster. It's just the regular one that came with the pack. But we have a little TV corner, which also acts as some clothing storage, a little bookshelf area. I had fun trying to make everything fit together down here. Also, apparently, which I happened to notice, and I've heard a couple other people mention recently, is scooting works on beds again. So you could definitely have two Sims living in this house, even though this bed is against the wall, which is absolutely amazing. What? Thank you. Thank you, Sims team. I was not expecting to be able to scoot again, but it's working. I didn't even mean to test it. I just clicked on the bed and I happened to click on the side next to the wall by accident, and they got in and scooted over, and I was like, what? So very happy about that. Also, there's a desk space over here with some cameras. I figured that was pretty important for a photographer. Obviously, if it's for Instagram, they can do a lot of things on their phone, but they can also take some really nice, beautiful photos on high-end cameras, do some editing on their computer. So I wanted to include that. But it's got a pretty strong blue theme in here, although still pretty neutral. I wanted to make it pretty cozy. This wardrobe is blocked by the bed, so you're not going to be able to access that, but I do put a mirror in this room as well. And I assumed that would be how your sim would go ahead and change their clothes, either in the mirror in the bedroom, or there's also one in the bathroom. And of course, I am going to put a bunch of plants in this window. And by a bunch, I mean, I think I put 2. And we'll come back to that area in a little while because I also add magazines and a candle. I wanted that windowsill to kind of double as a bedside table for this sim, since there wasn't really space for a bedside table because that would interfere with the chair for the desk. At least I think it would, and also look a little bit too cluttered. So I thought this would be a good way to have the look of having a bedside table without taking up extra space. So I have a stack of magazines over here, and then I'll be grabbing a candle, and that should be all that's in this windowsill. But like I said, I love this window. I really like that this one is a little bit smaller than some of the other ones, and of course has the ledge in it. I think it worked perfectly, especially with the split level room I did, because the bed's a little bit lower down. And here in the kitchen, I do use these countertops from Jungle Adventure. I think the stove is from Jungle Adventure as well. And then I use a mini fridge to save some space and add a microwave on top of it. And we end up having our counter you can chop on the other side, and having the sink in between the fridge and the stove. So I just mess around over here. This bookshelf is most likely not being able to be used. I just put it there because I thought it looked cute. But you could totally find a space to put a bookcase if you wanted to. Actually, you might be able to click on the Tiny Living books. I know you can if they're placed properly, but I'm not positive if they're placed the way I placed them, if you can still get a book from them. But you could definitely, renovate this however you'd like to have whatever items your sim would need. And if that includes a bookcase, I'm sure there's some things you could replace to go ahead and get that bookcase. Anyway, I decided to do some open shelving in the kitchen. I thought that would look the best. So we have some teas up here, our bread box, our paper towels, some utensils for the stove, and then this really cute tray. I also placed this outside on the outdoor dining table. It is a new tray that came with Eco Lifestyle that has some fizzy juice and a couple of glasses. I also used a couple of the paintings from Tiny Living in this house because they're just so cute and simplistic. So I decided to do that, changing the color on the bread box to have more of the blue tone. And I believe we end up adding a couple of succulents up here in a little while, the ones that came with Discover University. I don't remember exactly when I grabbed those though, but first I'm going to be adding a little dish rack up on top of the microwave to utilize the space a little bit better and also have that decorative piece. And I think the last thing we're doing now is the bathroom. So in here I do have some cute little, I think those are air plants that are in those little vases. I thought that was a cute thing to have in here, and this kind of works as a wet room. So you walk in and you're kind of in the shower. It's like a shower room, and we have the toilet over on one side and the sink over on the other. Like I had mentioned earlier in the video, I did play test this. It works perfectly fine, but just adding a little bit of clutter in here, we end up adding like toothbrushes, some more plants, and a little towel over here as well. But that's really it for the bathroom and really it for the video, just adding those succulents I had mentioned, and then we're going to be going on into screenshots. I hope you guys did enjoy this video and this a little bit more toned down voiceover. If you did, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up. You can also subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and if you click that bell, it'll turn on notifications so you'll be notified of every single time I upload a new video. Thank you guys so very much for watching, and I will see you all next time. Bye everybody.